Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing this morning? I hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. I am. It's actually, I'm ready to rip roaring and ready to go. So is my phone, apparently. So I am coming to you, and I have a few cute little things that I have done, and I wanted to share with you. Now, I don't have a humongous yarn stash, but I have a healthy one. It's no means a sable, which is stash amount or stash accrued or stash accrued beyond life expectancy. I think that's what the acronym stands for. Um, it's it's a good bit, but it's nothing like that. So I had found this pretty little, it honestly has like little shiny bits. It's not metallic. And I would love to show you, but I'm not sure my camera's focusing right. I don't know if, let me see if I can't catch it a little bit. I hope you can kind of see some of the, but this is a older yarn, discontinued, way discontinued. But you can find any, baby weight, 3-weight yarn that would work. Now, this is what I was telling y'all back in the last video when I was showing you my makes, and I said that I had finished it, but I had put it up, and it was just too much work to try to do that while I was filming to grab it. But this is the Call the Midwife blanket, and I didn't have a whole lot. I think I had maybe one skein of each color, or actually it was one little ball because they were in tiny little, I want to say 50 gram, but it wasn't. No, it wasn't a 50-gram ball. It might have been little 25-gram sample balls, but I had 4 of them, 5 of them, and I made this little blanket, and it will cover a car seat, okay, or like a carrier, something just, and it's very light and soft and squishy. I love it. But this is called the Midwife blanket, and I will link the pattern down below. I don't use a pattern anymore. I've made this for the past 10 years. It's just one of my go-tos when I don't have a whole lot of yarn, or I'm wanting to, I can't even say cleanse my crochet palette, because this one and the other one that I have to show you, those two are my palette cleansers. Just kind of when I want to do just mindless. And I did corner to corner for so long, so many times, that became not something I really wanted to keep doing as a palette cleanser. So that's when I started doing um, beautiful shells, which I'll show you in a minute, and this Call the Midwife blanket. The link that I'm put down below, this lady, she was the very first one I learned the pattern from. Now, I do know Mikey at Crochet Crowd, I think he put up a tutorial and everything on his YouTube channel. So if you go to the Crochet Crowd and search Call the Midwife, you might see his tutorial on it. But it is a very simple pattern. You can, if you can read patterns, you'll have no trouble. It is, Hold on. I'm trying to remember. Her name is Rebecca, but I can't remember. Yarnandchai.com. That's her. That was her website. And, she just has a very straightforward pattern. Put it this way. My second call, the Midwife blanket, I didn't even have to use a pattern because she laid it out so simple and so easy that I never needed her pattern again. But I will link it down below just in case you've never made it. But I love this pattern. And it's so cute. It's actually based off of a BBB, blah, 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 blah. A BBC show called The Midwife. I watched a little bit of it. I probably watched maybe 1, 2 seasons of it back when I um, got clued into this. But yeah, it's a cute little show. But I definitely recommend that pattern. It's so nice and it's so easy. Now I've made it in all weights of yarn. I tried it in bulky. I didn't like it. The yarn is too thick and it hides the little petals here, the open petals. It hides too much of that. If you're gonna do it, I would recommend a 4 weight or a 3 baby sport weight, um, because it just accents the pattern. Now, when I did that, let's see. I used a 3.5 millimeter hook with that yarn. I almost used a 3, but it made it a little too tight, and I didn't want a very not thick. I didn't want a very dense fabric to where it. I just wanted a nice little drape to it, so I went up to a 3.5 millimeter. And I have another car seat blanket that I have done. Now, this one is made with Bernat Softy Baby in pink flannel. And this is another, like I said, another little car seat cover or carrier cover. Oh, and this thing is so soft. I love it. It's just so soft. It's softer than that one because that one has a little bit of that extra. And it's not, it's almost like thread, like a glossy thread in that yarn. And I wish it didn't even have labels on these little 25-gram balls, or I would tell you what it was. But um, it's soft and squishy, but not as soft as squishy as Softy Baby. This one right here, this pattern, and I didn't use a pattern. It's the stitch pattern is a block stitch. It's really, I've been crocheting. Let's see, I started knitting in 97, 98, I think. Put it this way, it was before YouTube ever come about, and nobody in my family knitted or crocheted or anything. So I went online and I was following web pages, just pictures by pictures by pictures. But I like that I learned that way because it taught me how to read my work, and it taught me what to look for instead of having to. I mean, I think YouTube is awesome and tutorials on YouTube are great, but I'm glad I learned before that was an option. Because I had to learn to read patterns. I had to really focus on what I was doing. But long story short, that was to lead into, I learned to crochet a couple years later, but knitting is always my first love. This is a very crochet heavy week, but as with as with crochet, you can learn a lot of different stitches and basically build your own blankets without having to have a pattern. If you know the stitch count of what you need in like in increments of 3+1, or like the stitch repeat, you can basically make it as big or as little or as long. You can do anything. You can basically make your own patterns as long as you know the stitches. Well, that's kind of what the block stitch is for me. It just, like, when I don't know what to do with the yarn, I'll do that. I used to do corner to corners a lot, but like I said earlier, I got burnt out on those. Um, and this is very similar. It's just a chain two, skip three, and three DCs, three double crochets in the next row on the chain twos. So it's super simple, but depending on your yarn, and you can even use like this one right here. I used the pink flannel because I had one ball of it, and then I had one ball of white. So on my chain twos, skip three singles, or skip three and then single crochet into the next space. For that, I used white, and I don't know if it's kind of hard to see because there's so much white in the pink flannel yarn, but it blends together. Now, I've done some of these to where there was no white in the double crochet rows and the white stood out. I've done it to where I've used white as my double crochet rows and multicolored as my chain rows. Now that is pretty because it's like you have this white simple pattern, and then you have these little pops of color. It's almost like dots, but not quite, or speckles. But this is a good go-to pattern. I did uh, grab a pattern that I'll link below if if you need a pattern to work with, or you can either go on YouTube and search block stitch blanket. If uh, if y'all ever want me to do a tutorial or anything, just let me know. It doesn't matter how many tutorials are on YouTube already of that. If you want me to, I'll do it. I don't mind. But if you wanted to check it out, the for the block stitch, um, Hooked by Robin, and I'll link her down below. She has a very simple tutorial or pattern on her website to go by. So it's really nice. Now, you know how I said that it was the Midwife was a good palette cleanser. Well, this is the other one, and I tend to make mostly baby blankets when I need a palette cleanser because I don't want anything that's going to tie me up for a super duper long time, and I'm an instant gratification kind of girl. I will admit it. Now I can knit, and I can knit a long term project. I can knit a t-shirt. I can knit a sweater. And those take quite a while. But I also like knitting socks because I can knock out a pair of socks in 2 days, and I can knit. I can crochet a baby blanket in a couple days. So, or well, Like the car seat ones I can knock out in a day. But not only are they palette cleansers in between big projects, but it's also a way to just say, you know what? I don't know what I want to do. I have yarn. I have all this glorious yarn that I want to use, and I don't know what to make with it. So I will get, usually I will get my problem child yarn out, like the stuff I just really don't know what to do with, and start playing with different patterns and see what looks best in that yarn. Because they, not all yarn is the same, and it's not all yarn is made for every pattern. Definitely not. So this is a beautiful shells blanket that I did, and it is a baby blanket size, and I did it kind of an ombre look. Um, I did my oh, brain lapse. Sorry. My absolute most favorite one is my blue ombre, but I am a stickler for aqua and teals, and yeah, I love them. But this right here, I used Karen 1 pound, and this one right here, well, that's white, of course, but this one right here is aqua. This one is robin's egg. This one is mint green, and then it's just a repeat. So I started in the center with the mint green, then went to the robin's egg, and then went to aqua and white, and redid that. Now this is a substantial blanket. I mean, it's got squishies, but it's a little heavier blanket. The other ones, you know, made out of sport weight and baby weight yarn, they're light and airy. And you want something a little bit more substantial. This is Karen 1 pound is a 4 weight, and I did this with a eye hook, which is like a 5.5 or no 5.25 millimeters. I'll get my mess straight in a minute, but it's got some heft to it, and I like that because sometimes. Now this one right here is good. Now it's too big for a car seat. This is more crib size for when people are comfortable having blankets in their crib with their babies. But it's I love it. To me, the beautiful shells pattern is an aptly named pattern because it is beautiful. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's, I don't know. I love it. A lot of people's go-to are, granny squares and such like that. And hey, I like a good granny square. I'm not gonna lie. But I will say this: I tend to gravitate to solid granny squares. I've made regular granny squares, and I've made regular granny square blankets. But I tend to like the look of the closed granny square, and I've shown y'all those back there. Those are all made with solid granny squares. I said closed, but sorry, brain is misfiring. It's not firing on all 8 cylinders right now, but I tend to favor the solid. I like the look, and there's one project I can't wait to share with y'all. It's a lot of little granny square blocks with shadows on them and everything. Oh, I can't wait to show y'all that one. But anyway, I will link Now that Beautiful Shells pattern, that's on Ravelry. It's a free pattern as well. That was by Lahoma. She has 3 names. I hope I'm pronouncing her first name right. It's Lahoma, Jayne with a Y in it. Nally. And I'll link that down below. That way, y'all can be able to, if you've never done the Beautiful Shells, I highly recommend it. It's just such a fun pattern. And it's another mindless one, once you get a couple rows down, because there's a 2-row repeat, and you're off and running. It's once you start any 3 of those patterns, you can just take them and go. You don't have to sit there. They're good either when you're traveling or when you want to, watch TV, or you want to visit, but you need something to do with your hands. I definitely need to do that. I quit smoking about 7 years ago, and the amount that I crochet and I knit is by far a lot more now than it was back when I smoked. Well, for a couple different reasons. Because, back when I smoked, I don't smoke in my house, and I didn't smoke in my house because of my children. But you don't want to smoke around your yarn anyway, right? So you just, I don't know. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, so I definitely crochet a lot now compared to back then, because I have to have something going on with my hands. I don't like to sit there and do nothing, which is a great thing until I crochet so much that my hands and my wrists start hurting. But that's why it's beneficial for me, because I am bistitchable and I can knit. I can take breaks. If one is hurting my hands, I can switch to the other one. And, because I always have at least one crochet project going. And one thing I do like to do with my knitting, you remember I said I like instant gratification? Yeah, I do. That has led me to knit a lot of socks. Now, I don't wear machine-made socks anymore. I strictly wear my knitted socks. And it's so cute. A friend of mine, actually, it's an ex-girlfriend of my brother. We've kept in touch over the years. And she was selling a very tall chest of drawers. Well, it's not even that. It's probably 18 to 20 inches wide. So it's not even a chest of drawers, but it's just a long, it's got like 7 or 8 drawers. She was selling it. She used to keep her painting supplies and craft supplies in it. And told my husband, I said, I want that. I want it. He says, for what do you want it for? And I said, for my socks and my future socks. Now let me explain that comment. I have a quite a substantial collection of sock yarn, because it's socks are my go-to for, how I said palette cleansers for crochet. Well, that's kind of my for knitting. It's mindless. I don't have to think about it. I have a plain vanilla sock pattern that I use, because probably 75 to 80% of my sock yarn is patterned. It's self-striping. It's, I do have solid. And I bought a good bit of sock yarn from Hobie when they had a sale on it in solids, because I use solids for different things. Sometimes I use it for if I don't have enough of, because usually I will buy enough to do one pair of socks, unless I really like the look of it. And then after I've completed that pair, I'll go buy a couple more, couple more balls. Because 50-gram balls don't go that far. So if I'm wanting to stretch a ball of yarn, um, of the sock yarn, I will do like a solid toe and a solid heel. I have done a solid cuff, toe, and heel so that it would make, if the yardage wasn't quite as much as I wanted. So I did get some solid from Hobie. I'll have to show y'all that one day, but it's some beautiful colors. In fact, I think I might dedicate a an episode just of sock yarn for all my sock lovers out there, my sock knitters, because it's addicting. The instant gratification is the biggest part, but you have all these bright, beautiful colors, and you can wear them, and it's addicting. But anyway, so I got that the dresser, and I used the top for my undergarments, and then the second and the third is for my socks, and then the remainder are for my sock yarn. And like I said, I got a lot. I'll admit it. Now, being in South Carolina, it's not. I don't need scarves, hats. Well, personally, I don't. I tend to run hot anyway. But we're just not. I don't have to use my sock yarn for that. Like for shawls or wraps, or now I have made them. In fact, I made my best friend Tina a beautiful. Oh, what was the name? I can't remember if it was dragon's wing or butterfly wing. I'll try to look it up, and if I can remember, I'll post the name of it here. I actually have a picture, I'm sure, so I'll find it and put it up there. And she loved it. I sent it up to her, and oh, it was gorgeous, and I loved working with it. But most of my finger and sock yarn goes to socks because that's what I like. I have made them for my husband, my two sons, my daughter-in-law. In fact, when my younger, and I say that the way I do because my twins are 30 seconds apart, but the younger twin, he fell in love with them, and um, Premier had a sock yarn out. It was, I'll put that up there. They've stopped making it, but they had one, and it had a perfect gray for him because he's a guy. He doesn't want multicolored socks, and I want to say he had probably a good 5, 6 pair of those puppies. So I don't think he has any more. I think because when they discontinued that yarn, I didn't find a replacement. Now Hobie, I might be able to use one of their solid grays. I'll ask him, see if he's interested in me making him some more. But what I did is I have peripheral neuropathy, so I don't feel my feet. I don't have a problem with the nubs on the inside of the knitted fabric, the stockinette stitch. So for him, actually for everybody but me, I've done the inverted sole on the bottom of my socks, or the bottom of the socks that I gift, so that they don't have the nubbies. They have a smooth, at the bottom of their foot to sit on. And I forgot why I was telling y'all that. Oh, but anyway, So if he wants me to make him some more, I could probably make him some more. My husband only wore his a few times. He said he really liked them, but he wanted a particular yarn that I got at Hobby Lobby. And I'm trying to think. It was a wool-free yarn. I'll put that up too. I'm sorry. I didn't know I was going to talk about it, or I would have looked it up and had it on the top of my mind, on the top of my head. It's on the tip of my tongue, but not on the top of my head. But um, yeah, I'll see if he wants me to make him some. I don't have any gray, but I'm sure Hobie has some. And like I said in my last yarn video, that the cover up, the Sea Breeze cover up for my daughter-in-law, I have to order some more Hobie yarn, and I'm waiting till they have. Oh, poo! I missed that. Note to self: I need to go on there and see if they have, because every week they have a live, and I want to see if they have either the sock yarn or the Friends cotton, this 8-8 cotton, or 8/8, because I need to get her the ombre, different grays, and then the black to finish her cover up. But I'll see if they have any gray sock yarn, because I wouldn't mind crocheting him some more socks. I'm not crocheting him. Yeah. Told you. I'm not firing on all 8 cylinders today. um, I wouldn't mind knitting him some more socks, because I have way too many. I'm not going to stop knitting socks, but I have way too many. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, what I had to show you that I finished. If you would, seriously though, if you would like me to do a tutorial, or if you'd like to see something in particular, or if you'd like me to see me do a certain pattern, leave it down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you like this, give me a thumbs up, please. Click subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.